What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news and the most patriotic topics with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor, man.
Good old early week, start of the week humor, man.
Yeah, but I love it that this is not like any other start of the week. Whereas, over the weekend usually over the weekends like slow news weekend, that kind of thing. But this was like right out of the gate. Monday is like
today
everyone's
we had to
buzzing.
even push back the recording slightly just because we needed time to read or it was just so much info. It's almost like how to contain everything, man.
Yeah, man. I don't know about you, but is your social media like buzzing with excitement about all this?
Excitement, but also a bit of like conflicting kind of opinions and confusing opinions, and it makes me go like, oh, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? But we will come to that. We will come to that.
Yeah, that's right.
Man.
But before that, anything to plug to our?
I was gonna ask you how was your weekend, lah? But you want to go straight to the plug,
I mean, the weekend was dominated. It was dominated. I will not say dominated, but last night was like the big shoe dropping, right? And then, everyone's talking about it. So, let's jump to it as early as we can.
No, that was only one half of the weekend, Terrence. That means Saturday you were just in anticipation with for the National Day rally.
No, but it was I think there was something in the air, you could feel it. I feel that something would happen. Yeah.
Okay, I can tell that you really don't want to engage in any of this small talk banter. So we can go straight to it.
Sure. I think let's do our regular plug, right? I think
yes.
We've been pushing a lot of people to go onto Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave a rating or review for the podcast. Because that really helps us with making sure the podcast is discoverable for people, as well as looks legit on the store.
Yeah. So you are pushing more people to do it, lah?
Of course. So yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I didn't finish off. I didn't finish off the sales pitch. Yeah.
That's why. What the fuck? That's like halfway through the sales pitch, the sales presentation, you just leave. And everyone in the room is like, okay, what does he want us to do?
Yeah. But that tells you how excited.
Action, bro.
Yeah, the call to action. Please go to Apple or Spotify podcasts, wherever you listen to this podcast, and leave a rating or review so that other people who are looking for a good podcast to listen to might chance upon ours and give us a chance.
Nice. Sweet. Yeah. All right. Then let us jump into the first topic, man.
Jump right into it. You see, I'm so excited about it. Like, I couldn't even finish a sales pitch.
That's right.
For a plug, yeah.
So we're going to be talking about one of the many announcements during last night's National Day rally, which happened on Sunday, 21st August, delivered by PM Lee Hsien Loong. Yeah. And there were a bunch of announcements, but the thing that's gotten the internet's the most buzzing is the announcement that 377A is going to be repealed.
Yes, and in case you live under a rock and don't know, 377A is a pre-colonial era law. Colonial era law that was inherited that criminalizes gay sex between two men, right?
Correct.
Between men.
Correct.
Yes, and we've had it on in our laws ever since the 1930s already or something. And it just carried on all the way. And the last time it was actually debated in Parliament was in 2007. So it's literally 15 years later that this has finally happened.
Yeah, and over the past few years, we've seen more and more instances of like calls to repeal 377A. There was even the declaration by the government saying that they will not enforce it, but they would rather deal with the untidiness of having something kind of be somewhat ambiguous, somewhat non-enforceable. But that also caused a whole bunch of discussions because people were like, you keep the law for fuck. Because it's almost like, your parents have a cane and they'll say, I'll never cane you, but that sometime suddenly they just you just lose something and then they cane you, then you'll still be scared lah, rather than just throw the cane away lah, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it's just the thought of the cane still being there that a lot of people have been saying, hey, why is the cane still there? Is it if you say you're not going to use it, why is the cane even there lah, right?
Yeah. So there've been movements like hashtag ready for repeal for a few years already, and like I mean
obviously pink dot.
Yeah, Pink Dot as well, and a lot of non-profit groups, a lot of activists, and I'm pretty sure that I think when we also covered the topic a few months ago or something, even at that time there were people online saying that there are many things happening lah. There was the court case that closed I think in February that was dismissed and kind of like put the discussion of 377A into wouldn't say mainstream discussions, but at least legal discussions lah.
I think it was a court case that was brought forth to challenge the constitutionality of 377A lah, right?
Yeah,
whether
and
it should remain in our constitution.
Yeah, correct. And then at Pink Dot earlier this year, there was the first ever sighting of a PAP member of parliament. First ever, right? Or a rare sighting.
I believe the first ever, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and then the law minister Shanmugam also was visiting community groups, and kind of you could tell that it was being discussed behind closed doors lah. So when you heard about this announcement, right, that it's going to be repealed, what was your first thought? Were you watching the rally when he said it?
No, I wasn't watching, but I got the alerts on my phone, and and I mean a lot of my friends on WhatsApp were debating about the issue and just talking about how. Yeah, talking about his delivery of the speech and what how whether it was good and bad and everything lah. Yeah.
Like for full disclosure, I did not watch it live. I caught up with it last night and today, and I read the whole transcript. But I give that context because last night when I jumped on a call for a separate matter with Terrence, he asked me, "Hey, you heard the big news or not?" Then I was like, "Yeah, man, no need masks anymore."
So the larger context is. This guy is supposed to be on a current affairs podcast, running a current affairs
Finger
podcast.
On the pulse.
3 times a week we talk about current affairs. And the biggest thing in Singapore news that happened in like months, if not a year. And he's like, I just doing my regular Sunday night, doing the dishes and all that. I haven't really heard it yet.
Literally, I was doing the dishes. I was meal prepping with my fiance. We were planning the week. Then Terrence, like she mentioned, she saw on social media, no need masks. But I think she also had not seen the bigger announcement that 377A was going to be repealed.
Yeah.
So immediately last night, we were like, okay, we got to talk about this tomorrow.
Yeah.
But that's where we are, man.
But I mean, what was your most immediate feeling when you first heard it?
I mean, I was like, that's cool.
So something positive, like you're saying, positive.
Something positive. I was surprised that it came now because I thought it would come like, I don't know, later in the year or maybe it will be PM Lee's mic drop before he finally hands over or something. So when it came on National Day rally some more. National Day where we are supposed to bring people together, there was this announcement that will definitely cause some divide.
Yeah. And remember, I mean, 377A is a very divisive topic, right? You can, I mean, you talk to anybody of any age or any demographic, they will have an opinion about it and they will feel very strongly about it, right? As compared to what was announced, let's put in the context, like what was announced at last year's National Day rally. The big news was that, nurses will be allowed to wear tudung at the workplace, So I mean, that one, I can't imagine talking to everybody and everybody having a very strong opinion about it. But this one, I feel like it's something that anybody you ask, they'll have an opinion about it. Yeah.
You think everybody?
As in
maybe
broadly,
I mean,
crowd, if you no. I think you ask old people, they'll have an opinion about it. They won't agree with you. They might not agree with you, but they will have a very strong opinion about it also.
But then the thing is, I think we also spoke about it on a previous podcast that how many people actually know what 377A is? Like, I'm sure if I ask some of my uncles and aunties, right? I think they were like, what does it mean?
Okay, they might not know it. They might not know specifically what 377A entails, but they will have a view on homosexuality, for sure.
Oh, right? True. Oh, yeah, that one got.
So if the 377A is about that battle, I think definitely everyone has an opinion about that issue, right?
Yeah. So okay,
Yeah.
so factually, what did happen is that PM Lee kind of set the context for passing laws or just legalizing things that could be divisive, like. And like what Terence said, he brought up the decision to allow Muslim nurses to wear the tudong last year. Then he talked about sensitive issues, talked about 377A, talked about how most Singaporeans would prefer to uphold conservative values of defining marriage between a man and a woman, and only a man and a woman.
Yeah.
But then he also said that as a society, we need to find ways to live together and respect each other. Then he gave the context starting from 2007 when they first talked about it. And then he announced that 377A will be repealed. But then he also said that he understands that there will be people who feel strongly against it, and they are going to repeal 377A, but they also want to strengthen the legal definition of marriage constitutionally.
Enshrined.
What does that mean, Terence? What does that mean?
I think I mean the first thing to remember is that this 377A repeal, the writing was on the wall already, right? Like you say, for at least a few months, if not like the past couple of years already, So, but it seems like they have taken they're trying to find a compromise between the opposing views on this matter, and it feels like that what they're trying to do here is to say, okay, we'll repeal 377A, so the social stigma social stigmas against homosexuals will be removed, but at the same time we will, we recognize how strongly a lot of people feel that marriage is between a man and a woman, and that should not be challenged in courts or anything, and they will take steps to make sure that it's a matter that will be decided in Parliament and not decided by judges, basically.
So just to expand on that, because when I saw people like saying, "Oh, it'll be decided by Parliament, not by judges," I was like, but I mean, what the fuck does that mean, Like, I thought the law is the law, the law is the law. So what I understand now is that in Singapore, basically there are two ways to interpret or enforce the law. One is through judiciary and one is through legislative. So legislative is, it's set by Parliament, and it's challenged in Parliament, and the courts just follow the law. Judiciary, so I know if any lawyers are listening and thinking, what the fuck is he saying? He's missing out so many technical details. Well, I'm just trying to explain it in a way that makes sense to me and hopefully to others who might not be like fully versed with the technical side. So so there's the legislative side, and then there's the judiciary side, which means it is how the court interprets the laws that have been set by Parliament. So with that, right, it comes a lot of other factors, because part of the law cases and the results is how different lawyers fight in court, and it's not, sometimes it's not really black and white. That's why people employ lawyers, because they understand the system, and judges, and there's a lot of lobbying and all that, and that's almost decided outside of Parliament. But I think what this means is that if there would ever be a challenge to the meaning of marriage, it would happen in Parliament, decided by politicians whose job is to take into account the law but also the social fabric, whereas in court it's almost just based on the legal interpretation, which might not take into account the repercussions. I know there's a blanket statement.
Yeah,
I know there's a blanket statement.
No. I'm not taking issue with the blanket statement. I'm taking issue with your supposedly simple explanation of it is still very complicated. And it doesn't. I don't. Even for me, I'm like, wow, what are you saying?
Okay, so one is decided in Parliament, and
I don't know. If I may,
yes, you
it's quite simple.
A bit more. Fuck you and your condescending language. Hello, Terence.
Basically, but for the sake of everyone, yes, Parliament, where you have a vote, where you vote in people. You vote in these people, they set the laws, in Parliament. So by osmosis, you have a say in how these laws are set. You vote these people in, you vote with your heart, you vote with your when we're going to the ballot box. Then they set the laws. Whereas the laws, then when the laws are set, they are interpreted and enforced eventually by the judiciary and the police and everything, right? By a set of lawyers and judges who argue the case in court and everything lah. So the big issue is to change something in the constitution, basically Parliament needs a 2/3 majority lah, right?
Yeah.
They need to vote on it and everything. But in essence, the person on the street still has some say in how the constitution is changed by voting in a person who agrees with your views and everything lah, right? But you can't vote in. You don't have no power to vote in a judge. You have no power to decide which lawyers are working on a case that is challenged in the constitution lah. So what we want to avoid is a case like what just happened in the US Supreme Courts lah, right? Where a group of judges, Roe versus Wade, a group of judges basically, depending on the composition of this Supreme Court judges, based on their own beliefs, they can believe that, this law is not constitutional, and then just strike it down after however many years it's been around, and that feels like the power has been taken out of the people's hands to vote for it or anything, right?
Can I just say that, you talked a bit more about stuff that is the other side of that, but your explanation is also not simple. Okay?
It's not simple.
It started off simple, and then you realize this thing is not that simple.
It's not simple, it's not simple. But I think the important thing is even Lee Hsien Loong himself said it, right? That I mean, he said we don't want courts to be deciding on these issues. So I think the main thrust of it is that we don't want the everyday person's voice to get drowned in that legal system lah, when it comes to such divisive issues lah, right?
Yeah, correct. So I mean, with that context, right, what are some of the reactions you've seen online?
I think my most immediate circle of friends was like, wow, it's finally happening. And the way it was delivered by PM Lee in his speech was pretty seems very balanced and I mean, you can understand both sides and everything lah. But there were also naysayers who were saying like, this is I mean, I quote lah, one that was saying that basically, as a gay person, you've gone from being a criminal to a guaranteed second-class citizen in your country for the foreseeable future lah. Because the moment you sort of enshrine the marriage is between a man and a woman in Singapore, so accordingly, all the things like your applying for HDB, the benefits that come with being in a marriage and all that don't apply to you lah, as a gay person, for sure, 100%. Yeah.
And I guess, I mean, just to understand that sentiment, it's probably along the lines of like, okay, if it's not kind of something that has to be decided in Parliament, if you were fighting a case in court, if you have all the resources in the world, you could assemble a team of the best lawyers. Maybe your case is super compelling, and there's still a chance that you might be able to win your case lah, right?
Right.
Against the constitutionality of same-sex marriage. But once it's in Parliament, just like how you said, the power is taken out of the common man if it is in the legal court. In some way, the power is still, I mean, I guess what your colleague is saying, that in the near future is guaranteed second class. But if there are more politicians who are more open to same-sex marriage, maybe it's more than 75% of Parliament, at that point, then there's a chance to change the constitution. But in the short term, it is guaranteed second class.
Yes, guaranteed second class. At least for the foreseeable future. Because, I mean, changing the constitution right now is still within, because of PAPs, the PAP parties, super majority, right, in Parliament.
But the status quo is like so. Did you ask him like, what about the status quo? How is the status quo worse? Is it because there's still a hope that you might win a case in the court?
I think that the possibility of challenge, and the fact that let's say they just repealed 377A and didn't bring up this thing about marriage, right? It gives you hope that one day Singapore, as the generations shift and everything, they will be open to seeing legalizing gay marriage, right? But now that this saying that marriage is only between a man and woman is going to be enshrined in the constitution, it's going to take another constitutional change down the road, that means they need to argue in parliament, they need to debate and all that before something like that could possibly happen, right?
I see.
Yeah, so it's like it's basically building up all these. Sure, you tore down one dam, but you build up other dams to hinder the eventuality, the progress of these social issues.
So, but the thing is that it is not confirmed that it will be changed, right? Because there will be a lot of debates in Parliament about this.
Yeah, correct. But it's just knowing the political reality is that, in because of the super majority of the PAP and all that, more likely than not, it will pass lah. Because they need they need a 2/3 majority to change the constitution in Parliament, and they can easily get that. They can easily get that in Parliament.
At this point, At this point.
Yeah, but let's say next time Parliament is made up of, a more diverse group of politicians from different parties and all, then it's not as guaranteed. It's not as easy to change the constitution by then already, right?
Correct,
so that's the thing about shifting this decision to a later date. Also, there's more uncertainty about whether it will actually happen, and you can't you can't tell what the makeup of the parliament will be like 20 years from now or whatnot.
I see. But then that means even the 377A repealing of that, it is technically still going to be discussed in Parliament, right? Or is that that one is likely to be passed already?
Likely, it'll be brought up for sure, and then they will vote on it, and then it'll be passed
Yeah. So, but the difference is for the marriage aspect, that is changing the constitution, whereas 377A repealing it.
Both are changing. Both are changing the constitution.
Both changing the constitution.
But one is they say we will change it now, and with our super majority, it will guarantee go through lah. But then the other then we will wait on the we will maybe 15. He never said it lah, but let's say 15 years later they want to change it again. Then they have to go and vote again in Parliament, and by then you're not very sure what the makeup of Parliament will be like lah, right?
Okay, so they want to change both things in the constitution, but it's almost like for the longest time the focus has been repealing 377A, but then the changing of the constitution to protect the definition of marriage, that's like almost like
a new thing.
A new thing lah. Which I mean, I heard chatter about it in recent months as well. Because so then it becomes like, how you say, like that's why I think the way PM Lee delivered it, in some way he kind of gave the context of why they are going down that path as well. Right. And broadly it is, they understand that it is a very divisive thing. They want still people to come to a compromise. So in this way, this is like a decent thing at this point. And in future, assuming the trend continues where our society becomes more open, more liberal, and the politicians voted into parliament adopt the same values, then the constitution will change lah. To allow same-sex marriage lah, right?
Yeah, basically, he's saying it's for a later generation to make the decision, no? But now it's too divisive, and repealing 377A alone might anger a lot of people, so they have to add in this other marriage thing. But one thing I admit I was quite surprised. Like you at that, I was quite surprised about the timing of this announcement. That it was PM Lee doing it rather than leaving it to Lawrence Wong to deal with it. Because now we know Lawrence Wong is the PM designate lah, right? The PM in waiting. And I think like we've been discussing, Lawrence Wong has just been appearing much more as the next generation kind of leader lah, much more I think he's trying to connect with younger people on the ground lah, right? Riding motorbikes, playing guitar, TikTok account and all that kind of stuff. So this would seem like the kind of decision that would score very well with the younger electorate lah, right? The younger voters and all.
Yeah.
So I thought that this would be something that PM Lee would leave to Lawrence Wong to do lah, right? I mean, that's my initial thought. But after that, my a friend of mine was just saying, shout out to Joshua Yip, right, the commentator and the poet and writer. He's saying that but basically it's also a very politically sensitive decision. So PM Lee is also taking a hit for Lawrence Wong in some way, lah.
Yeah.
Like if he loses any political points, it won't affect the next generation of leaders that much. Whereas, I mean, PM Lee, we all know that he's sort of like waiting for retirement already. So if this is his last big thing and it proves to be unpopular, he takes it with him,
Yeah, because I think if Lawrence Wong were to announce it, that would almost not be the best first thing for him. Because you think about it, a lot of the older generation do see PM Lee as the PM that they've been who have had PM Lee as their PM for the longest time. Whereas you imagine if Lawrence Wong comes in, they'll be like, who is this young punk pulling all this shit? We want PM Lee back. Whereas PM Lee is like, okay, Lawrence, before you set off on your quest, I have years of cachet and clout. I can take this, I'll take this for you.
Correct.
Go forth and prosper.
Forth. Yeah.
Go forth and prosper with your guitar and TikTok.
Don't start with an unpopular position. And the other thing also is like, I also have to say that Lee Hsien Loong, I mean, his hair was impeccable in this speech. For some reason, I just noticed his hair. I was like, hey, it's styled a lot better than it usually is, than it was during the pandemic when he was making all the speeches and everything. So shout out to the hair and makeup person who was doing Lee Hsien Loong's hair. He's not getting any younger, right? But his hair looked good in the last night, man. Even better than
shout out.
Yeah, even better than Lawrence Wong's in a lot of times. Lawrence Wong's
shout out to PM Lee, man. PM Lee and his hair and his team who takes care of his hair.
Yeah, I mean, I know this kind of things seem very superficial, but the appearances matter, especially when you're making such a contentious announcement that like the whole country is watching, right?
But what about his hair was so magical?
There's just, I mean, his hair, has always been parted and everything, but there was this airiness, this puffiness in his front fringe that, like, in his hair, the fringe and everything that just made him feel like younger and more dynamic when he was announcing it. And maybe it's to do with the fact I was watching his speech on almost double speed, so he sounded a lot younger and all that as well. But it's just the appearances also. Just do look at the video and let us know what you think about PM Lee's hair last night also.
Oh, so it's more like there's a bit of a curry puff, but honestly I wouldn't have noticed it.
Is it? Okay, yeah. But I mean, I thought it was when I watched the video of that, I thought it was
watching the video
glistening. It was glistening, man. His fringe and everything. Yeah,
it was glistening.
Yeah.
I think maybe last year the sides of his hair was shorter or generally. Now it does feel like maybe there's more hair to play with, like in terms of length.
More hair to play with.
So style it a bit Like if you were to cut a crew cut with short hair, you got nothing to do with your hair, right?
Yeah, exactly. It gets a bit boring, right?
You think there was thought put into it or not? Like the past 2 years, you're like fuck hairstyles. We are in operational
Pandemic,
mode now.
Yeah.
Now to symbolize that, you know what, we can stop and style our hair.
Yeah,
maybe
I think
maybe
it was like
it was a bit of a.
Yeah, you think about it, the pandemic, it was like this is like the stepping up party, right? Post pandemic, he literally, I mean, like you say, he literally announced the removal of the mask mandate in most indoor places and in concerts and things like that. So this is the big coming out party post pandemic.
Coming out party.
Yeah. I mean, really, like, do take a look at his hair. Let us know what you think, man.
But I mean, like, the speech, it did sound like quite, how you say, quite encouraging, given that we are still coming out of the pandemic and fucking heading into like so much chatter about an economic recession, right? But there was some huge announcements, of course, talking about geopolitical issues, Russia, Ukraine, US, China, and our role and how we need to be more vigilant. But also talking about the future of the Tuas port, the Terminal 5, the Paya Lebar housing development. So, yeah, it just felt like, wow, like there was a lot of things that at a time like this feel like, okay, cool. There's shit happening.
Yeah.
There's so maybe he was like before, like he was just like putting his hand through his hair, like I got this, man. This is this is. Did he? When is he going to hand over to Lawrence Wong? Don't know yet, right?
No, don't know yet, don't know yet. But the fact is, we know that it's Lawrence Wong already. So that's the big difference from last year, right? Yeah.
Oh. So,
but yeah, I mean,
just
have you seen any interesting reactions to the 377A announcement online as well?
I mean, the thing that I'm interested to see develop is the pushback lah. Because as early as today, there's already been pushback from certain religious groups. I think, let me pull it up. There was one, so disappointing. Someone said it's disappointing. Oh no, sorry, no, that's some of the pro LGBT groups just talking about the making it tougher to change the what a marriage means lah. But I don't find.
I think that but there were some statements from, I think, the religious groups that it was a regrettable decision, right?
Correct. Regrettable. That's the word. Regrettable.
Yeah, the word is regrettable.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I haven't seen the actual statements itself, but that's the headlines that are out there. Yeah.
Yeah, certain religious leaders. So they did express that they are glad that the government is looking out for people, society, but also glad that if there is a move to strengthen the definition of a marriage between man and woman, they also support that lah. They also support that. But the regrettable thing was I mean that's why I mean that's not surprising. But I'm just curious what's going to happen after this lah, because on social media generally on my feed I see more positivity about the announcement. For you?
I see a mixture of opinions. I think even just like reading Calvin Cheng's post about it. I think
the comment section, right?
No, not just the comment section, but he himself he's more of a socially liberal conservative, I would say. So he is basically saying, we finally. I mean, one of the things he did say that is true is that Asian culture, actually we've always been traditionally more tolerant of a lot of different sexual practices and lifestyles before that, right? In fact, and it was only the West when they came in and brought a lot of the religion and a lot of their beliefs about various things. That's when we started to become a more so-called conservative society lah. So the narrative of we should not be aping the West and becoming liberal like them actually is the reverse lah.
It's more Asian. Correct.
Yeah, it's more Asian to be more tolerant and not to be so impose your views on other people and all that kind of thing lah, right? So he himself was saying that finally we've gotten rid of this archaic discriminatory law that was useless and not even enforced. And we finally shed the idea of aping the West about it, right? And we've managed, like even compared to other Southeast Asian countries like Thailand, where gay marriage is legalized and everything, we are still behind. Regardless of 377A being repealed, we are still behind. So you talk about, I mean, in the same National Day rally, he talks about wanting to attract the best talent and everything, right? I mean, if you happen to be a very so-called, very sought after, corporate high flyer who happens to be gay as well, let's say
like Tim Cook lah.
Tim Cook, head of Apple. Like, wouldn't you want to think about him as a talent and how he might be lured to a place like Singapore to work? Yeah, isn't it important to make sure that our laws here also seem like that? Yeah, talent like that is welcome, right?
Yeah. And I mean, just to go back to what I was saying earlier, there was a specific statement by the Alliance of the Pentecostal and Charismatic Churches, which represent more than 80 churches here. And they said the decision to remove a moral marker as weighty as Section 377A signals a rewriting of acceptable sexual relationships and celebrates homosexuality as being characteristic of a mainstream social environment. And then So they went on to say that they are disappointed that it contributes yet another layer of moral complexity to an already sexualized world, and they hope that the definition of a man-woman marriage is upheld lah. So that's where it's interesting because like what you said, there are many implications of it, but I think that's why Calvin Cheng's post was quite interesting, because I don't know about Chinese culture, but Indian culture, I mean, there's there's the Kama Sutra, of course, the first book that I learned to read. Then the other depictions of all those positions and all. There is a lot of sex lah, and polygamy and transsexuals were all kind of accepted like hundreds of years ago lah, right? Apparently.
Yeah. I mean, no, apparently like it is a fact lah, right? It was much more accepted lah.
Yeah. So, like when you were young, did you hear from your grandparents or anything?
About what? Sorry.
Polygamy and stuff.
Oh no lah, not my grandparents. Yeah, I didn't. As in, I could barely communicate with my grandparents, sadly, about various things. But I mean, actually, one more thing that I thought was interesting just put out there is that everything he said does, look like, okay, we're going to enshrine the traditional idea of marriage between a man and woman. We're going to enshrine it in the constitution lah. But that doesn't mean that same-sex civil unions can never happen lah, right? And in case in case you're wondering what that means, it means that it confers rights to civil unions between gay people, and saying that this is my partner. I mean, this is not a traditional marriage in the sense it's not between a man and woman, but this is my partner, and various things like what happens to me when I die, or if I'm very sick, who's allowed to handle my affairs and things like that, can still happen as part of a civil union lah, that is recognized by the state lah, right? It's just that there won't be it's not called marriage, and you can't say you can't do various things, but civil union, that's still possible lah. That's what is still left out there as a possibility lah.
And it's not just a Western thing. I think even in Japan, that's what happens. Right. And Japan is by all accounts a conservative society, but they offer that. And I don't think civil partnerships enjoy the full extent of rights that married couples do, but they still get rights. So that is interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
But just question. So what happens to Pink Dot after this? That means does that mean that's the end for Pink Dot?
Oh no, I think they probably they'll move on to the next thing, man. I think if anything, it shows that everything they've been doing these past few years has resulted in something lah. And I would imagine they feel empowered, and all these lobbyist groups and all these activists feel like, okay, there's still a lot of work to be done. But if you look at all the discussions that have been happening the past few months and all, it's definitely a result of just more attention being paid to issues like this lah. So kudos to them also for bringing it more mainstream lah.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's what they feel. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I assume. I know they did post something that, okay lah, it's still disappointing. But I think they would feel that, okay lah, change is possible lah.
A small step is better than nothing lah, right?
Yeah, but that's why it's curious to see what happens the next few days lah. Because this is literally hot off the press. You'll probably hear this late Monday night or early Tuesday morning. So even by then, there will be so many articles that would have popped up lah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Cool, man.
That's the challenge for the future leaders of Singapore to take forward. But I mean, as a segue, thinking about future leaders and what leaders are allowed to do in private and everything as well. That's actually our second topic as well, right? Related to this.
Yeah.
And what is this topic about?
The topic concerns Sanna Marin, who is Finland's prime minister, and she's also the youngest prime minister, or at least when she became prime minister at the age of 34, 2 years ago, she was the youngest prime minister in the world. Now she's 36. And a few days ago, there was a leaked video of her kind of partying with friends, not doing anything like illegal or something, but just dancing like people in their mid-30s do when they meet a bunch of friends at someone's house and drink and dance lah.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of backlash for that. She
Mm.
addressed it, she dismissed it, she said she was disappointed that the videos from a private party was leaked. And then over the past day, so there was a lot of backlash and
But what was the
calls for-
backlash about? Why was there a backlash to these videos?
Because there was someone in the crowd, you could hear like mentions of drugs or something.
Oh, really? We
So
could
that's why
hear
there
it,
were calls. Yeah, so there were calls for her to take a drug test lah.
Yeah.
Which I think initially there was some kind of resistance to do that, but I saw another video that was released I think over the weekend of her getting close to this one singer because she's married and they were like just talking in that huggy kind of position, arms around him.
I see.
His arms around her.
No,
and
yeah,
talking
so
like-
actually, beyond just the drugs, I think people are saying that this is unbecoming of a prime minister, lah, right? This kind of
because
behavior.
she's married lah.
Married, and
and-
also just as a prime minister to be just seen partying and like any other kid out there and all that. And when Finland is right next to Russia and there's a war going on with Ukraine and everything, it just felt. I mean people are saying that hey, this is not right lah, coming from the prime minister of the country lah.
Yeah. So that's where we're at. She has taken a drug test.
Yeah.
She said that the results will be revealed in when it's confirmed. But yeah, so that's where we're at, man.
Yeah. So I mean, this is interesting because I mean, we just put it in Singapore's context. We're just talking about Lawrence Wong and playing guitar and riding motorbikes and all that. Would we react would Singaporeans react as badly if they saw Lawrence Wong partying it up like that, like drinking alcohol and like taking selfies with like celebrities and all that? How would people react to that?
Maybe not Lawrence Wong lah. Maybe who's a female politician who is unfortunately there is a stigma lah. If a guy is partying, videos of guys partying, I think there will be less backlash than videos of a female partying. Unfortunately. So let's say who's a prominent
Tim Pei Ling or
Yeah, Tim Pei
Josephine
Ling.
Teo or something, yeah.
Yeah, Josephine Teo, because Josephine Teo is quite senior lah, right?
Yeah.
So if
more senior.
there's videos of her partying and all, I think there would be backlash lah. I think there would be backlash.
There would be, yeah. And it would be. So you're saying there's a certain inherent sexism
Yeah, I
in
think
this kind
so.
of thing as well. Where
I
if it's
think
a
so.
guy, let's say he's not like getting close to him, but he's just dancing in a very stupid way. You're saying that maybe the internet might even say, oh, this makes him so endearing and so funny and all that, as opposed to criticizing them.
I think so. That is my hypothesis.
Wow, that's the
That
world
is
we
my
live in,
hypothesis.
2022, man. Yeah,
2022. But
'Cause,
what do you
the-
think? Do you think there'll be backlash?
Because I asked myself, okay, so we've seen Lawrence Wong playing guitar, for example, right? We saw Lawrence Wong playing guitar and playing choir. Then I'm just thinking, Lawrence Wong got time to go and play guitar. Because, I mean, to play guitar is one of those things where you kind of got to practice a little bit every day and just to keep up the calluses in your fingers and everything. So I'm like, not bad. The Prime Minister got time to go and play guitar. Means he's got time to blow off steam and all that, right?
Oh, I thought you
in
were saying he's not putting enough time into the development of our country or something, is it?
No. So I'm
you
just
saying
wondering. I'm just wondering if that comes across people's minds when they see this kind of thing. When you see like whenever Trump or even Obama took vacation and there were photos or videos of them playing golf and things like that. There was always some criticism. People say, hey, there's so many domestic issues happening at home. Why aren't you all as head of states taking it more seriously? And literally to the point where they were reporting on how many days of vacation each president took and things like that, right? So, anytime you're in a position of power, there's going to be that kind of scrutiny on your social activities for sure, right? But I think the crazy part is that there's the added, as being a woman as well, there's the added stigma that you're supposed to be prim and proper and not supposed to do a lot of this kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and I'm going to say, I think also the fact that she's a good-looking woman makes things worse.
Why?
But I don't know why, but it just makes her like, I can imagine, like, okay, at least the sentiments I've been seeing on Twitter, which I mean, Twitter can be a cesspool of shit, but it's more like she doesn't fit the bill of a PM. She's not a proper PM. Because she looks like someone who parties lah, and enjoys partying. And this is not the first time she's been in the limelight for partying lah. I think even during COVID, there was one time where she was seen at a club without social distancing with a drink in hand. So that caused some repercussions. There's a lot of pictures of her at festivals and all. So she's a cool person lah. She's a cool person, but you can imagine in a political scene, right? The fucking opponent or opposition party will use this to no end. So that's where, I mean, okay, so just some context. Sana Marin leads the center-left Social Democratic Party. So center-left lah. So the opposition, you can imagine just seeing this as pure MO and questioning whether there were drugs taken at a party. And it just feels like when that video is leaked, I think something happened with AOC also in the US where there was a video of her back in uni dancing in a song.
Yeah. That's
and again, there was some people saying like, "Oh, how can we have this person as our leader and all?" Like, as opposed to, I don't know, Angela Merkel or something, who I think if people see her partying, they'll be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, a strange party.
Yeah, so it's weird lah. But what do you think of the backlash? Do you think it's understandable or it's just total nonsense?
I mean, aside from everything that everyone has said already, I'm just wondering how in the world did she think that any video taken of her can possibly remain private? Like how, like what she is thinking, like, right? Especially given her status as the prime minister of the country, plus the fact that in this day and age, like a video and things like that, it's so easy to be shared and transmitted from person to person. Why how would you expect that? Oh, I'm disappointed that this video that was meant to be sent to friends would find its way anywhere else, lah, right? So that if anything, that sounds to me kind of naive, lah.
On the flip side, because that did also occur to me, it could also be, right, a political masterstroke, no? And I see that because okay, she obviously is popular with the younger crowd. And okay, my barometer for reference is one of my best friends from uni is half Finnish and he's in Finland now. And he said, yeah, she's popular, she's smart, and the younger generation do like her. That is his opinion. But I can imagine that she is going to be popular with the younger generation. She's a female in politics. And just a few hours ago, I think there is a huge amount of videos now being posted on social media of women dancing and partying. La.
Yeah.
And they're standing in solidarity with Sana. So if you think about it, right, like if you want to battle the incumbent, the older politicians and all, you're going to need the younger vote, right? What better way than to show the younger folk, like, I care about the country, but I'm also like you, man. I enjoy partying. I enjoy it.
Yeah. And that's where I feel like then maybe don't say that whole thing about thinking that you're trying to keep the videos private and sort of succumbing to taking a drug test and everything like that, lah, if you're going to do it, just go all the way, lah. Go wholeheartedly.
Go all the way. You're like, yeah.
No,
you want to see other videos? You want to see other videos? I upload
more
also.
videos, lah. Yeah, this is what I do. I'm 36 years old. I know this is how I release. I de-stress and everything, lah. But I work hard for the country. Like sell it with that narrative rather than the sort of like now there's a feel of it like having to scrambling to appease people and cover up the tracks and things like that. And I'm disappointed the video got leaked. I'm like, yeah, but so that's just the internet, lah. It's just the internet.
No, but I think what she's doing is playing the middle line, lah. Because if she goes all way or one way or the other, she's going to divide. So she's probably like, okay, I will still take the test. I'll be innocent. I'm disappointed it got leaked, but I'm still going to party, lah. I'm still going to party.
Yeah. So it's really about that. It's one of the last part. I'm still going to party. She has to lay it out
still
there.
going to party. She needs to leave that in. She needs to leave that in.
Maybe they should have a giant like festival to celebrate this movement for serious people to party lah. They could start some kind of like holiday, national holiday, where all
serious people partying, is it?
Yeah, like C-suite level people must drink alcohol and must party that night lah. Yeah.
So it's almost like Dua Lipa owning the dance move that became a meme,
Yeah, exactly. You own it, yeah. Right.
You own it.
Yeah. But it kind of makes me think about a story that last time there was one time on the Sunday evening I was eating Beauty in the Pot with my family and friends and everything. And then I was just eating and just winding down for the week, Sunday night and all. Then suddenly behind me there's a lot of commotion, the staff running around and doing a lot of things lah. Basically, like they're prepping for something. Then I turned around and guess who was at the that area where they were you sort of concoct your own sauces for Beauty in the Pot lah, for hot pot. You know who was standing there? Not? It was Lee Hsien Loong and Ho Ching standing there at the sauce counter, like making their own sauce.
They were making their own sauce.
I think they were being guided. Yeah, they were being guided by the staff about how they make their own sauces and all that. But yeah, basically it was the Lee family, the first family sitting down for a meal at Beauty in the Pot on a Sunday night lah. And this was pre-pandemic, and also everyone was just in good spirits, just hanging out and all. But the interesting thing there was like I think no one in the restaurant was like really running up to them and gawking at them and taking selfies with them. I mean, obviously there were the bodyguards around, looking at the surroundings, but it felt like no one in the restaurant wanted to intrude on their private family time lah. And maybe in some ways that's in Singapore where we're a bit more respectful of people's private spaces as compared to like in the West where paparazzi and everyone's just sticking a phone in your face and then trying to get something for social media and all that. Right?
Respectful or scared?
Respectful or scared. And scared.
Yeah, I bet everyone in the fucking restaurant knew that PM Lee was there. Confirm. They were just eating. Confirm. You're like, oh fuck, but don't make a commotion. You talk to your son. You shut the fuck up. You don't cry.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't cry.
Don't look in that direction.
Yeah, don't look at that. Don't look at that.
No, I mean, I'll admit.
Yeah,
the security guards were literally seated around their table and everything. Like, I mean, I'm sure they have a protocol in place to intercept anybody who tries to approach the table and all that. So like you will probably get like maybe you just walk in the toilet, then suddenly you get tackled, and then they pull a gun on you and everything.
Yeah. So like you think, did you enjoy your meal, or did it affect how you were kind of slurping your soup? Would you have slurped louder if PM Lee wasn't there?
No, it didn't affect my meal, but I mean, definitely there's just the whole circus of like bodyguards and then the restaurant staff running around and all that. Just was very amusing to watch lah. Yeah.
No, maybe also people didn't take out the phones because they were just having hot pot. If PM Lee and Ho Ching just took out a bottle of whiskey and started doing shots, then how? Then confirm people will look, right?
Like they imagine, they started to take out a tequila bottle and then they started to like mix it with the different sauces that you can get Beauty in the Pot. And then they start taking shots in the restaurant.
Or like body shots, like PM Lee puts the shot glass on Ho Ching's stomach and then just push the sauces aside, fucking go crazy. Or they take a shot of tequila, a shot of what's the sauce at Beauty in the Pot? Any famous sauce?
Everything, it's everything. They mix everything.
Collagen shot.
Collagen, yeah, exactly.
Tequila and collagen. Fucking have a good time and get good skin also.
Yeah, man. Wow, that'll be... If that doesn't go crazy on social media, I don't know what will.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, then we'll have
Ho Ching already posts like 200 posts a day. If she's doing body shots at Beauty in the Pot, right? Walao.
Yeah,
maybe a spike, man. Body shots.
Taking selfies. Yeah, but if you are the Lee family and you're doing body shots on a Sunday night at Beauty in the Pot.
Shots.
Then, I mean, it will be on social media. Whether or not you thought it was private, it will be on social media. Yeah, that's for sure.
Maybe once PM Lee hands over.
Maybe.
He and Ho Ching going away. Crazy.
Sorry, the what do you call it? The farewell dinner or what. They go nuts. Yeah.
Go nuts, man. Go nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
But,
cool.
Yeah. Exciting times.
Exciting, man.
But
Cool.
yeah,
All
just
right.
jumping into one Shiok comment as well. I
Yes.
think it's been a exciting couple of days. I think a lot of people have been commenting, asking us our opinions on things happening in the news. But do you have any particular comment that stuck out to you?
I mean, just a comment by Internet Lurker 96, which was 5 days ago actually. They just posted on our Reddit asking us whether we're going to be talking about Lawrence Wong's interview with Bloomberg. I haven't looked at it in detail yet, but I just appreciate the suggestion for a topic, man. So cheers to that.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, actually, wait, fuck! I forgot the one thing I actually did want to say.
Which was?
Okay, so it's not one comment, it's a series of comments. I posted something on our Yalabat Instagram over the weekend, which was a photo taken a few years ago, lah. And I just asked our followers, like, okay, when do you think this was taken? And the engagement, like everybody just was trying to guess, and I really appreciate how they were having fun with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reveal that photo taken at the Art Science Museum, which has me and Terrence in it, was taken in March 2018. So if you commented, that was the date. If you haven't seen the photo and want to see what we looked like 4.5 years ago, just go to our Yalabat Instagram, man.
Yeah.
4.5 years ago.
Damn.
4.5 years ago. Yeah, so that was my many Shiok comments.
Yeah. I think my one Shiok post or comment was by Missy Helper on our Reddit, where basically a meme of a cat staring at the phone with a subtitle waiting for Yalabat to upload NDP rally speech episode. I mean, it's cool. It's cool to just know that people are waiting to hear our thoughts on the NDP rally. And maybe I think a lot of people have told us that sometimes they don't even bother to read the news anymore. They just sort of wait for our podcast, listen to it, and then after that, then maybe whatever's interesting, then they continue reading about it lah.
Nice. Yeah. Sweet. So Missy help lah.
Thank you for the meme. Yeah.
Thank you for the meme.
But yes, cool, man. And your one Shiok thing. I mean, since you had a very eventful weekend and everything, what has been your one Shiok thing recently?
My one Shiok thing was the news that so I have spoken about Man U in the past and how they're having a shit season so far after 2 games, right? And they look like they are in disarray and all that. And one thing that I can't say is shook, but it's shocking with the potential of becoming shook in future is that on Friday, they just signed a pretty damn good midfielder from Real Madrid, whose name is Casemiro. Yep. He's a Brazilian defensive midfielder. I mean, you don't need to know about the intricacies and all. It's just he's playing for Real Madrid, which is are the current European champions. Fucking good team. Won so many titles. And he has chosen to go to Manchester United, who are not playing in the Champions League, with a team that seems like it's in shambles. And why for me it's potentially shock is because Man U was going down this path of like it just feels like what the fuck is going on. But he has given a spark. He has given a spark, and it just feels like there's a renewed hope. So of course they're playing Liverpool later tonight. And I'm scared shitless, but feels like there's a spark. There's a spark. So that was my one Shiok thing.
Cool.
Yeah. What about you, man?
I mean, the football season's heating up again. I mean, I think just the one Shiok thing, it's kind of a build up from a one Shiok thing that I think I did raise before, but I finally managed to get the time to read through most of the book The Master, which traces the career of Roger Federer from the perspective of I think the New York Times reporter who has been following his career for the last 20 years already lah. And I mean, just as a kind of coincidental as well, Roger Federer turned 41 years old, slightly over a week ago. And there were a lot of videos online commemorating his 41 greatest shots ever. So there's one particular video that really has 41 of his most amazing shots. I mean, most amazing rallies and shots from his career lah. So it's pretty exciting to be reading about it in a book. Reading about the psychology and the build up to every major title he won, and then subsequently also watching these shots in retrospect lah. Yeah. So I'm gonna post the link to that video.
As in the shots, as in the video was released like as part of the book.
No. The video was released because it was his 41st birthday. And so just to commemorate it, tennis, I think the channel's Tennis TV, they commemorated his 41 greatest shots ever. La. Yeah.
I see.
So they literally just count down, and it's just breathtaking to watch some of those shots. La. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I love watching those compilations. There's one for Michael Jordan also.
Yeah. And then the important thing about Federer is that he might not end up winning he probably won't end up winning the most Grand Slams ever. But just reading the book and understanding the larger context and history of tennis as well as that has made me realize that Grand Slams aren't everything for a sport like tennis lah. You know, a lot of other smaller tournaments, a lot of how the modern players have elevated the game to a more global level. All that is really important as well lah. And just admiring and partaking in his career that has spanned such a long, it went from the Sampras era to the era we're in today. It's just pretty amazing lah. Yeah.
Wow, that is cool, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Wow, that was a long one.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening, everybody. Were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say let's jump back onto the whole 377A debate that will be happening this couple of days.
Yeah. Cool, man.
All right.
Awesome. Talk to y'all soon.